Monday. I almost said Sunday. I'm used to doing transitions.
Yes.
It's Monday.
It's Monday.
It's Monday, and we're here live.
Real quick, we've got Scotty Erickson here. Shout out Scotty and David Erickson hanging out this week. You can't see her, but she's here.
Levi, Wesley,
Jacob,
me, Jordan.
We should, if we're going to start doing these, we should make up one that's like really, really, really well known. Somebody that everybody would know. And they'd be like, no kidding. He's there.
We've got Post Malone in the back.
Donald Trump is at this.
Yeah, well.
Don't we get?
I'm not going to. They're telling me to put my bill up.
I like the new platform, first of all. I like that.
Yep.
The online attendance has not dipped at all. It pushes people to the YouTube to catch up. But I like doing this on Facebook. I like the interaction with the comments and stuff on Facebook, doing it here on my
it is cool because also I think this format is more easily accessible and shareable because when people are scrolling and they just see a podcast going on there, I don't know. Yeah. I would click on it to see what's up.
I think I struggle sometimes with like the growth concept of like how big of a deal is it? How important is it? Is it important at all? Yes, it's important some, but is it like the most important thing? Obviously not. And so for me, this has been a good exercise of like, well, if it's working better, is that okay? Well, what does that mean as far as expansion? Is that okay? And so just, it's been a good thought exercise.
Yeah. It's interesting cause it kind of, I think my mindset is like a craftsman, if you will. So I want to make a chair and then get really, really, really good at making a chair.
Right.
Instead of make a chair, then a table, then a this, and that, right?
Right.
I want to perfect the craft. So I want to do that same thing with this stuff. But at the same time, it's kind of like, okay, but you do want to reach more people. So they butt heads sometimes.
It is a balance. And I think when somebody makes it like the number one priority, you can always smell it.
Yeah,
you can
I was about to say that.
You can tell, but then you don't want to become so insular. Like you see churches that are just very, very inward focused, and you don't want that either. And so it seems like there's a balance in there.
Yeah, it's almost just the confidence of, hey, if it goes right, great. If it doesn't, then we tried.
Yeah. It's August. August is happening.
Today?
No, I think it's 26. But what's crazy is that was just an absolute lie. What I'm saying is it's crazy to think that this summer we've been kind of like the new platform was a big one, but some of the transitions and things we've been doing this summer, this
summer's gone fast.
Yeah.
Have you felt that?
It's okay. Here's how I describe the summer. It went crazy fast because we didn't like full on relocate back until the end of May this year, which is later than we've ever done. We stayed in Arizona longer. So it made the summer go really fast. And then all of a sudden there was a snap where there was fires and there was smoke and it was cool in the mornings.
Right.
And it was like, it feels like fall.
Yeah.
And so it's almost like it threw you ahead a little bit. And so now, I don't know, maybe it slowed the summer down a little bit.
It's exciting because I think COVID jumped us into everything, and then it was kind of a fog. And then summer hit, and then I'm excited to kind of go into winter to see what the platform will do and everything else.
Going to one service, I'm excited about that because it wasn't as empty as I maybe thought that it would be in July. Like I thought the attendance was going to dip, usually dips a little bit lower. It kind of didn't this year to the degree that I thought it might. And so going to one service, it's going to be a fun environment.
Well, and it's cool just to be, I don't know, it's cool to be around a crowd and to feel the energy in that.
Yeah.
And especially doing things in this situation where they're just cameras. I mean, you can't bounce off that energy. So I'm excited for that, just to experience it as well.
Yeah.
But yeah. So the last part of the Dreaming series.
Asterisk. There might be one more.
Okay.
I'm thinking that's probably over, but
okay.
I had some moments today where I was like, man, I feel like there's almost like you could revisit it later, like maybe down the road.
You're going to do the whole Disney approach where it's like, oh, we released this thing 20 years ago, but now all of a sudden we have a new story about it.
Right. Snow White and the 8 Dwarfs.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't know.
Yeah. And
I almost don't want to get too far into it because if for some reason we do end up going there this weekend, I don't know. To answer your question, I thought when I preached it that was the end of the Dream series, but
I mean, maybe that's, you have to, becoming an expert, I guess, in a topic is you have to completely finish and understand the topic before you can say, oh, I wonder if this can be done this way.
Yeah.
the craft.
I heard a statement today. It was a quote by Socrates, and if I do preach another sermon about the Dream Series, this will be in it, and they'll have to hear it twice. Socrates says, no man is ever wise. Mm-hmm. There are just some men who love wisdom.
Okay.
And that was kind of I feel like that was almost the missing link that I could have, that it was missing, of like the arrival versus the process, because I think we've been, like for me, I was raised with a very specific goal, but not really understanding the distinction between a goal and a dream.
Right.
And so it was easy to state. It was easy to say as a statement versus saying as a question of like, I don't know where God's going to take me. I don't know what I'm capable of. I don't know what life holds. I had a very specific, I want to do this. And I think there's some freedom. You mentioned the COVID thing, and here's what I miss about the COVID lockdown. You didn't feel like you were missing out on anything. Mm-hmm. Nothing was happening. And so whatever you were doing in a studio was kind of like whatever was happening.
Right.
And I think I always thought of life as like an arrival versus as a process. Mm-hmm. This is probably why I won't preach another sermon about the Dream Series, is I think you could clear it up in a podcast. I'm curious, comment wise, I'm curious if I'm alone in this or what your thoughts are, but it felt like that we've always been taught that once you arrive, you did it. Mm-hmm. That's it. Mm-hmm. Versus there's no such thing as arrival. There's no such thing as you are now wise. It is like you get to determine what it is that you love, and then you live a life of pursuing the things that you love.
Well, and I, it's funny, and this is not philosophical in any kind of way, but with items, I'm now realizing that because you use things for a while, and then you can sell them and get new things, and you can sell those and get new things. It's not you work towards that thing and you get that thing, and then boom, now you're happy for the rest of your life. You shouldn't put your happiness in things anyway. But for an example, I'm selling the bike to get a different bike. But the Harley was the pinnacle thing of like, I cannot wait to get this thing.
Right.
And then I got it and I enjoyed it. And then the idea of like, oh man, this thing's cool. Do I really feel like I want to sell that right? You know what I mean? And so to me, that is the journey.
Yeah.
Of you set your sights on something, but also know, yeah, but once I get that thing, enjoy it while you have it, because eventually you'll get tired of it, I guess.
Maybe that's what I'm saying. Maybe that was the takeaway for me for this whole series. Do you remember the movie Dude, Where's My Car? About like the stoners that lost their car and they spend the whole movie looking for their car.
No, but that sounds hilarious.
I think like they get tattoos and one is dude and one is sweet. They're like, what's mine say? Dude. What's mine say? Sweet. But what's mine say? It's a stupid movie. But okay. They go through the drive-thru, and the lady at the drive-thru, they order whatever they're going to get. And she's like, and then? And they're like, no, that's all. She's like, and then? And like, no, we want this. And then she keeps saying, and then turns into a fight. Like, no, and then. Maybe it's a 90s thing. I figured Lee would see it. It's that. We never consider and then.
Right.
I just want a Harley. Okay, and then?
Right.
I'll drive it. And then I'll get bored with it. Mm-hmm. And I think life is way longer than we anticipate that it will be. Mm-hmm. It is way longer.
Well, it's interesting, like the minimalist mindset. So for so long, well, you get the Harley, cool. Then you save up for the next bike.
Right.
But then you never use it, but you still have it. And then the next thing, you just start acquiring stuff.
I wonder if that is where the misery of wealth, people that grew up without, and then, they earn their way or somehow end up wealthy, that's like the sadness is you can buy it.
Right. Yeah.
The game's over.
Yeah.
And you're like, that was the joy. Maybe that's what I'm saying. Like, and then and you have to really start addressing some and then issues in your life of like, I want, for instance, okay, as an example, I want to be in shape. Okay. And then, cause you can get there, but then what? Right. It goes away and it's like perpetual forever. Either you want to live a healthy lifestyle, but there's no such thing as arriving, like how fit is fit in the first place. And then it goes away and it's like, if you don't just love it, there is no such thing as an arrival.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's so that same thing of, and having the minimalist mindset, I guess, to dreams as well. How many times have you experienced this? I know I have, where you have a dream and then you get there and then move on. You you finish what you're supposed to finish there, and then the Lord leaves you somewhere else. But then somebody else gets to where you were at, and then they go farther than you. And there's something in you that's like, that was my thing. That was my thing. And you weren't supposed to go that far. You weren't supposed to, I was supposed to do more, you know, and so on. And it's like that same thing where if somebody buys the bike and makes it way cool looking, I could technically have the feeling of, no, wait, I want that back now. I want that back. But then you're just going backwards.
I think that we talked about this weekend, the love of conquering is born into people.
Yeah.
Because if you were to put something on a table and a kid doesn't want it, but another kid comes in to grab it, now kid A is like, no, now I want it.
Now it's mine.
because deep down we've got this conquering and it's a scarcity mindset. I don't want it. I just don't want you to have it in case someday I want it.
Right.
And I would love, I've said it a few times lately, but the goal of I want to be what I am without being against what I'm not. I want to be able to love achievement for other people as though I've achieved it myself. Because if I genuinely love something, if I take joy in something that is really close to what I'm passionate about in my life, and somebody else succeeds in that, it's good for the world. But if I just wanted, like back what we said last week about, like if I just want to be a famous photographer and somebody else gets more famous or is a better photographer, like it just breeds this discontent and unhappiness. I want to catch up on comments real quick. Nicole Onko said, it seems like a totem pole. I went to school, became an EMT, moved up to the top, then started over at the bottom and became a paramedic. I've worked my way through 8 years of getting to the top again, and now I'm about to start again going to nursing school, God willing, which will make me a baby in my field of choice again. Okay. Solomon in Ecclesiastes. This is what I love about the Bible is Ecclesiastes got included. And it isn't, this is how to do it. It is the sadness and the desperation. Like people read Ecclesiastes and they're like, I don't get the Bible. Well, he's saying vanity, vanity, nothing matters. Achievement is nothing. Like find a life that you enjoy and do that. And he's reached that sadness of, I did it. I made it to the top of the mountain and I'm no better off. I was happier at the bottom. And in that life of loving, pursuing the things that you love, but being willing to let go of things that you're competitive about. That seems like a worthwhile life to live. That seems like if I can get there where people feel like when they do well, Calgary Smith is naturally really good at this. He's a competitive guy. But one of the things that stands out to me about Calgary is like when somebody else does well at something, you can feel it. Like he is genuinely excited for other people. And it's such an endearing thing. Like he's so much younger. He's a kid. And like that inspires me. Like I want to be more that. I want people to have that sort of a feel when I'm around, that if they do well, I'm genuinely excited. I don't want to be the kind of parent that pulls away from my kids. I want to always put in that I'm going somewhere with this. I don't want to be the kind of husband that's competitive with my wife. I know someone, and I'm not going to say names, but they both wrote, and his wife accomplished something that he hadn't accomplished, and he was genuinely upset by it. I'll never forget that because I was like, good to know. That's
right. I don't want to do that.
So that means this. If I'm only obsessed with conquering, I cannot be happy literally ever, because exactly what you said. Every time I achieve something, every time I accomplish something, there's always more. It always goes further. But if I love something for the sake of loving it, I can win or I can lose, and I'm okay. Like in the moment, I could be losing. I think this is why people don't give. I think people who don't give, this is why they don't give. There's such a fear of loss. Like I have to win every single thing. And like I'm obsessed with conquering. There's no freedom. And so I think the love of wisdom comes with the acceptance of losing. You know, like that Ricky Bobby moment of like, if you're not first, you're last. As crazy as that sounds, it is the reason that movie was so successful is like there is such a wide swath of people who it's their life pursuit.
It's interesting, specifically social media, and even more specifically in the media space, people who create content. I mean, I say it's a gold rush, meaning with the kind of new media that's out there, everything hasn't been figured out. So editing techniques and how to put shots together and tell a story and all that kind of stuff, there's new things to be discovered. And so there's a mad dash to figure that stuff out so that you're the guy that figured it out, so that you have a certain aesthetic to your video and so on. And then people copy you, but you were always the first. And so I remember getting into this stuff, and I had to literally step away from social media. And I think to a point, it kind of compromised my growth a little bit, because I would see all the stuff and I would get inspiration that way. But at the same time, it would just kill me.
Yeah.
Of that guy's better than me. That guy's better than me. That guy's better than me. And then you just, what am I even good for? I should just stop, rather than making a video or photo or whatever because I wanted to. And, but then at the same time, you can learn so much from those people.
Right.
But those people are constantly surrounded by people that want to be the next top guy.
But so your experience being social media, but I don't think, and I think you're saying this too, everybody that does anything experiences this.
Right.
It doesn't matter where you are. You're going to feel undervalued. You're going to feel competitive. You're going to feel like, I got to do this first. I was listening to a lecturer today, and he said, I have to come to terms with the fact that in the world today, there is a platform where no matter how much research or how much knowledge I bring into the world, my numbers of people who will ingest that, high as they may be, cannot compete with a video of a kitten running into a wall.
Right. Yeah.
If it's strictly about the numbers and the competitiveness, there is a platform that you can't compete with no matter what you're bringing into the world. And he was talking about, they say that people, I'm not representing this very well, but people pursue in philosophy whatever they lack. And so he said, one of the things in my life that I really pursued was meaning. It's John Vervecchi, same guy. He said, I pursued what is the meaning of meaning because I felt like my life had no meaning. And he said, if somebody says there's a fire, everybody runs out of the house. The platform that you heard was somebody yelled, there's a fire. If someone sees the flames, they run out of the house because the means that they, I'm getting ahead of myself. If somebody sees smoke, they'll run out of the house. Now, the truth or the meaning of why everybody ran out of the house is the same, even if they heard it for a different reason. Does that make sense? And I think sometimes that's what I'm trying to discover maybe in my life is like the dream is intended to motivate you. And that's what you're saying. Like by being on the social media platforms, you see, and it drives competition in a good way. But what is the meaning? Why are we there? What is the purpose? Why are we competitive? Why do I feel this way? We know for a fact that social media contributes to mental health problems if you don't understand the meaning of what it is. But like Lacey, not a super competitive person by nature. Like she operates in the love of wisdom easier than the love of conquering. She watches TikTok and she's like, gosh, people are so creative. Yeah. She's able to watch it and love it. I have this knee jerk of like, why am I so stupid? What is wrong with me? I'm not creative at all.
Yeah, you can't enjoy it.
I am so, well, if I'm not careful, like it's choice, but it is so easy for me to feel like, God, I suck. I'm not good at anything. Instead of just enjoying that, like some 16-year-old kid in his basement has this like incredible idea for a video and then nails it. Yeah. And it's funny or whatever. You know?
I mean, and this isn't necessarily, I chop that up to, because I have ideas, but then I just don't do them. And I realize that guy had an idea, but then he did it. Yeah. And then, I mean, so how many ideas were even better than that one, or any idea really, that just never got done? Yeah. And to me, that's the ultimate fight, isn't to try to be better than the other guy. It's to do what has come to me. And anyway, but that's like the peaceful approach. But, and the competition can provide that. But, anyway.
Well, the verse of the guy that built the barns, the bigger barns, it's such, I mean, that verse has been so abused over the years of like, see socialism. And that's not what it's saying. It's saying that if you have a deep love of conquering other people, if that's really what drives you, is like this perpetual little man syndrome, what good is it in the end? What good is it? You build bigger barns, you store everything that you got, and in the end, life conquers you back, and you spent your entire existence getting nowhere. Versus the willingness to go, how can I pour into other people's lives? I can't remember who told me this. Somebody said, you're going to have a lot of people at your funeral, but you're only going to have a few pallbearers. What kind of life are you living where there's actually a discussion about who's going to be your pallbearer? My dad's got stories like growing up in the church, people that would die, and it was like, who's going to be the pallbearer? They'd spent so much time conquering, winning their way into like a lifelong loss versus the willingness to accept a loss short term and having a life that is like surrounded with people and friends and like a life marked by generosity. Comments are awfully quiet. Are you guys
Is it still on?
out there?
Yeah. When you said, and this was a question.
First person that comments gets $1 billion, jillion, gazillion dollars. No, I'm just kidding.
Wow.
I just want to make sure if they'll take a check.
Your dream will never outpace your maturity.
Yeah.
Am I saying that right?
Uh-huh.
What does that mean?
Perspective should shape your lifelong dream. And so here's the distinction. If you understand, Scotty, if you never make a distinction between your goals and your dreams, because to me a dream is personal. My dream is like I want to transcend my spot here. I want to become more. I want to grow. I want to become something that makes the world a better place. What I really want is to be a better version of myself. But a goal is something that I wanted based on who I was that day. But I also want to reserve the right that as I'm becoming something better and different, that with that, my goals should catch up. I can't have a goal of a love of wisdom if nobody ever explains that and I'm 6 years old and I'm just trying to beat the other kindergartners for the marshmallow on the table. Right? So I think sometimes we get so loyal to a goal that we put in front of ourselves at a young, immature position that we're never taught, like, be willing to let your goals die. But your dream of who you want to become can't outpace your maturity. Your maturity, as you grow, the brokenness, the times of loss, the times of confusion, the time of frustration, that's what I'm saying. Like, a goal can be given as a statement, but a dream is always delivered as a question. How do I get higher up the mountain on something with meaning? I know I'm not alone in this, but people go like, money's not important. And you're like, yeah, money's not important, but I'd like to try.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not important, but deep down, I feel like, and until I'm able to understand why, then it's just words. It's just words of like, money's not important. And people that I trust say that. So I'm like, yeah, okay. But do I really believe it? It's not until life expands to the point of like, no, what I contribute matters. What I give to the world matters. Goal equals always CS statement. I'm just kidding, Lisa. Always statement. But that's why you can deliver a goal as a statement. It's like, this is what I want. But imagine when your concept of I changes and it becomes more of a we. And like, that's when Jesus said, don't worry about what you wear. Like, look at the lilies of the valley and God takes care. He says, little flock. He said, everything that you ask, like, all your needs will be met. But your needs collectively as a group of people, like, God blesses people in this group setting. And I think sometimes we miss that. We take it as an individual because we live in an individual culture. We base our goals on I and me. And I think that one of the things I'm experiencing at 38, almost 39, is the goals that I accomplish as a we are far more meaningful than the things I accomplish for myself. I think in the beginning, you think like, if I can become a conqueror, I'll have something to offer. That's a false premise. It's a false premise to think that once I become who I wanted to be when I'm younger, that I'll be more valuable when I'm older. And God's like, why don't you just trust me that I'll put you in a position to do the things that I've got for you. And the trust and the sense of surrender, like the loss of like, okay, I'm going to turn you into who I want you to be.
Right.
Okay. Okay. Deal, God. And he's like, through a series of losses.
Yeah. You wouldn't choose it.
Well, no, because it like common cultural knowledge would go, well, if you lose, your influence is decreased.
Yeah. Interesting.
Well, look at Joseph. Joseph said, I have a dream of greatness. And it starts with pit and slavery and prison and loss. And God is just like tamping down this culture into Joseph as a person so that in the moment of victory, in the moment of conquering, he's able to deliver it with equality versus I, me.
Right. So, and then the question versus statement is a statement like a goal, and then a question is a dream?
Yep. Back to the dream is like, so take Joseph. He's like, I have, in a sense, God gave him a dream of, I'm going to put you in a position of prominence. He translates that as a goal of me over you. Does that make sense? He says it as a statement. He doesn't go, I don't know how this is going to work out. I don't know what God's going to do. He goes, I have a dream, and guess what? You down, me up. You little, me big. He delivers it as a statement. Over a period of time in the pit, you have to think that at some point Joseph was like, what happened? See, now we're questioning it.
Right.
I've been getting my neck worked on. If I've already used this analogy, stop me. But I'm getting my neck worked on. I've had a pinched nerve in my neck for like a year and a half. And so they do the x-rays and they take it from the different positions. Have I talked about this already? That I've got vertebrae in my neck that have stopped moving. That's what's causing the pinched nerve, is like when my head moves, there are vertebrae that don't move anymore. And they said until that loosens up a little bit, it's going to constantly keep putting pressure on that nerve. And in a sense, it's the breaking apart that allows it to be flexible, that allows it to stay healthy. And I think that's maybe what I'm saying is like, when I say something as a question, what I'm saying is I want to be flexible. I want to be pliable. I had a goal for my life, but if that's not what it is, I still have a dream for my life. And my dream is I still want God to do something through me that's meaningful, even if it doesn't look the way that I wanted it to look. And that goes back to, we got about 15 minutes. That goes back to a statement of a goal, question of a dream, back to a statement of, okay, I can with confidence say that God's a good God.
Simple, complex, simple.
Whatever he's up to, that God is up to something. I can deliver that as a statement, and that's hope. And I think that's kind of the payload for this series is my hope is based in the goodness of God. My dreams are based in question marks of like, I don't know what he's doing. I can tell you my goals, but my goals need to always stay more flexible than my dreams of like, this is what I'm working on right now. But I reserve the right that might crash and burn in flames, and it may not go the way I thought it was going to work. For me, one of the most meaningful periods in the history, as you look back over Shiloh and everything that we've done, one of the most meaningful things that happened was Weatherford, and it was a loss. It did not go the way that I thought it was going to go. But look at everything that it produced, the flexibility that came out of that, some things that we found out that we needed that we didn't know we needed, some direction that we didn't know we needed, some assumptions that we didn't know we'd been making, that I was like, this is it. This is how we do it. And then things that I'm like, okay, that's going to be one of the most meaningful things we ever went through, and it was actually a loss. I love this clarification. Goal equals always a statement versus dream, always a question. I love that dreams are rooted in curiosity. Aw, thanks, babe. Good word of listening from Oklahoma. Sean, where in Oklahoma are you? Nicole says, I think ultimately my dream is run our family ranch someday, but I know I need an outside income. You do. So my career's in the medical field. I absolutely love it. I'm aware of nursing and financial stability keeps the ranch going and allows me to do what God's called me to do, which is help people in the worst days as an ER nurse. See, I like the framework of that. I'm like, this is what I'd like to do, but realistically, I want to be where God wants me to go. And
right.
I just feel like that life, people who live life too rigid and holding too tight, again, it's like you can smell it. You're like, something's going on. Like you've never really faced difficulty, or if you did, it didn't make you better. It just made you more rigid. And people who are like, I don't know.
Right.
They just exude to me. They just put off peace of like, okay, you're all right. Whatever happens, like you've been through some stuff and you've gotten better because of the flexibility.
Right.
Weatherford, Oklahoma.
If somebody doesn't know what their dream is, and then like simple, complex, simple. So is simple saying, I don't know what my dream is, but is it like to be a doctor? Is it to, be a NFR champion, blah, 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 right? And then complex is just making a goal and failing at it and then being the broken. And then the simple is I'll be okay. I just want to be a better person. So whatever that takes.
I would say goals are what we get first. Goals give us something to strive towards. Goals are not a bad thing. Mm-hmm. It gives us something it sets our sights a little higher. Like as a kid, that's why there are kids that love superhero movies. It's like, I have a goal to be something great. I want to be something great. Mm-hmm. And I think I'll get there by, X, Y, and Z. Like you said, make the NFR. I want to, have a career in rodeo. I want to be visible in this world. I want to make it to the major leagues. I want to be whatever kind of job. Doesn't matter. I think goals are okay first. I think you get goals first. Mm-hmm. But as you start to take in, because imagine this, somebody accomplishes and goes, okay, I did it. That was my goal. I wanted to be a doctor. Now I'm a doctor. And then and then is like, okay, but who am I? What am I going to bring into the world? Because like the goal is great, and sometimes you get there, sometimes you don't. Sometimes your goal was based in like God putting that in there, and sometimes it wasn't. The question mark is, but who am I? Who am I becoming? What is God going to do in my life even after either the realization or the failure of that goal? And in that's where the turmoil, to me, that's where the turmoil of like, I need to know that God's a good God. I need to know that I'm in his attention. I need to know he hasn't forgotten about me, because right now my world has been kind of rocked or set apart, or like I thought my marriage was going to work and it failed. I thought this job was going to work. It didn't work out. I thought I'd be further along in life by now. And so when those goals sort of fall apart and you are asking dream type questions, the anchor is deep breath. While I'm figuring this out and asking questions, I'm trusting that God is at work, and that even through my scripts and my failures, that he's bringing things into the world through my life that are going to be more meaningful. Weatherford equates to the Alamo to us to Texans. Steve, I was just going to say hi. What if you don't know? Say that. What if you don't know? Tyler, it's good to be aware of the pursuit of dreams, goals, not missing out on the process and growth of getting there. What is your perspective about dreams, goals that creates debt, like student loans? Okay. This is probably headed towards another sermon. And so, I heard this one. I think the danger that we have in this nation, and we're opening a whole new can of worms, but Mindy, specifically to yours, is there is a difference between yourself and your imagined self. And I think when people go way in over their head in debt specifically, I mean unmanageable debt, that to me is typically a red flag that says, are you pursuing an imagined version of yourself? Are you going down, like, are you managing who you want to be seen as? Are you managing, I want to be seen as this? Young people, I think, generally struggle with this, which is why student loan debt seems like it can be predatory. Like, if you want to be a lawyer and that's where you're headed, and you got to go to school and your family doesn't have anything, and, you know, I don't want to say this as a blanket statement, but I think sometimes people get into trouble when they are trying to really bring their imagined self to the surface. They always want to be known, but only known as blank. Horse trainers, I know this isn't every walk of life, but specifically horse trainers. When people want to be viewed as a horse trainer, they're always saying things that horse trainers would say. They're always buying things that horse trainers would buy. They're always going places. You know what I mean? Like, they're not living in the reality of their lives. They are pursuing this image and this imagined version. Like, this is what I aspire to. And this is like back to goals, right? Just be aware that if your life requires unmanageable amounts of debt to get there, you might be making a goal or a dream, you might be making a dream out of a goal. I think that's a good distinction. Sometimes people are willing to just over leverage themselves to pursue a goal that was birthed in a moment of immaturity.
Yeah, I think.
Hey guys, the stream froze.
Stream froze, like visual or audio?
Visual.
So they just unplug that cam link, just the cam link.
Okay.
Not the whole dongle.
Audio, real quick, help us out. Can you guys still hear what we're saying, even if you can't see what we're saying?
Yeah, that thing does that sometimes. I haven't completely worked out all the bugs.
As to why? Which one freezes? Is it the computer?
It's just
I think we're back.
cool.
Can you guys?
Anyway, let's just pretend they can.
Yeah.
Yeah, that
okay,
was weird.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that's the imagined self. It makes me nervous.
Yeah. I think specifically, can you turn down your mic to?
I can hear Levi
I
whispering,
know,
but I can't hear exactly what he's saying.
To me, a goal is a field, if that makes sense. So,
Okay.
I guess specifically, but if somebody says, I want to be a NFR champion, is that, to me, the question I would have for that is specifically, do you want to be a team roping champion, or do you want to be around that culture?
Yeah.
Do you want to be with those people?
Or do you want to be viewed a certain way? Do you want to carry
Exactly.
a certain amount of respect? Do you want to acceptance?
Mm-hmm.
Like, you walk into a room and be known. I mean, there's people will, gosh, okay. We really don't have time to get to the bottom of this, but I'll start with, if you were to stop and consider every single detail of everything that's coming in through your filters, there's not enough time in eternity to take in everything you're experiencing. Mm-hmm. Your mind has to learn what to ignore and what to focus on, right? You are unconsciously making a decision to focus on the things that your mind thinks are important, right? I think sometimes people latch onto a feeling that they, like you walk in and someone's like, hey, they're a big guy when you're a little kid. And you're like, yeah, I think I am a big guy. And it makes you feel good. You're a little kid and you're at the coffee shop with your dad and something about that feeling. But then you spend years trying to recreate the feeling of this imagined big guy when maybe somebody said it in passing and didn't even mean it to be like a life-shaping statement. They're just talking to a little kid at the coffee shop with their dad, right?
You told me if you ain't first, you're last.
You said, I based my whole life on that.
Yeah.
And I wonder sometimes if pieces of a dream sneak through the filters and you're like, I do want to be better than I am. I know how I'll do it. And then like you get confused about the process. I think this is what it means to be people is you catch bits and pieces of it. That's why the hope of who God is like, God, I can't stop messing this up. Every time I think this is going to happen, that's going to happen. I don't know what's important to focus on. I don't know what matters. I am so tired of facing the loss, pursuing a feeling of whatever it was in that moment that really sparked. And I think the freedom comes, like you're saying about, I forget where I was going with that. I lost my train of thought.
Well, I mean, for school debt, if somebody says I'm going to be a doctor, and then before you sign a $300,000 student loan, I guess I'm thinking, is that position what you want?
I wish, and I don't know what I think about hypnotism. I think I'm against it, but I wish there was a way to track back people's goals to where it started.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you watched a movie and some guy's driving like a nice car up to a nice house and you're like, I want that. And you're like, hi, I'm a doctor. And you're like, I'll be a doctor, heck. And it's like that moment of inception wasn't based in any amount of reality. It was based on an image that it liked. And you're like, all right, that's it. I'm going for it. If you could trace back a goal, that's what I'm saying. Like, I think there are times like $300,000 worth of debt. Well, this is what doctors do, right? Okay, okay, this is what those people do, right? And now all of a sudden you're not operating in the reality of your life. You're operating in an imagined self and like how to prop it up. And I wonder how often that's the case of like, I'm turning a goal into a lifelong dream. When in reality, you just like nice. I mean, I don't think there's anything wrong with liking nice stuff. I mean, debt probably isn't the best way to enjoy it. Right. How's that? Yeah. Right? It's like a life of nice things and huge debt is probably more miserable than a life of things you can afford.
Right. Yeah.
My daughter is 9 years old, loves name brand stuff. And I have this talk with her all the time. She's like, oh, I know. Like but it's been there since birth. She is naturally drawn to like, oh, that's nice. Oh, that's fancy. Oh, that looks expensive.
Oh, but that's not Gucci, so I can't.
Literally. And she's a little girl. And so I mean, as a dad, I'm like, ugh. I mean, I see the danger. I see the danger in that. But I guess my answer would be like, hey, don't let it rule you. Like if you eventually mature out of that, God willing, let it go when that happens. Don't bring it with you into the next phase of life of like, okay, really what I said was, and hear me. Everyone, please hear me because I think this is true. I think what she has is an eye for excellence. The substitute version of that is she has an eye for material things. Like, no, that's not what it is. It's a desire for excellence. It's a real passion for beauty. It is things that are going to be really beneficial. And if she's not careful and a goal becomes a dream, she'll miss out on whatever that is that God's put in there that has like an eye to see things in order and in place and
yeah,
uniform.
I share that. I think I share that with her.
Wine taste on a beer budget.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're going to cut it short a little bit today.
Full transparency, we're going to go rope right now. That's what's going to happen.
Yep.
I feel like we got to the bottom of this. I think it was good.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think personally, this is what I said on transitions.
Hold on. Eric says, maybe I moved to Texas because I watched too many Westerns. You didn't get far enough west, Eric. There are still cowboys, but in the words of Chris Ledoux, you just can't see them from the road.
Yeah. That's a quote that will stand the test of time.
One of my favorites. And the other one is, I'm a lover of the other side of the hill.
Yeah. Boy, yeah, I know that. I think this topic is, and topic is a good word, is going to stick around for a long time.
Yeah, I
and
think
so
it'll circle.
yeah,
It'll
we're going to
be
keep
part
going.
of the cycle. Right?
Absolutely. So, well, thank you everyone for jumping on.
Thanks for everybody that commented. I felt like
Yeah,
it was
for
a
real.
good interaction. It's way more fun for me, and I know you too. It is way more fun to kind of get to hit the ball back and forth a little bit when people jump on. So
absolutely. So we'll catch you Sunday and then Monday after that. So we'll see you guys then. Bye for now.